Listening is an act of love. Thank you. You can help lift up the voices, stories, and challenges we share by making a contribution at thiswayout.org.
A sincere thank you to all of you who already support This Way Out. Your support matters.
I'm Michael Taylor Gray.
And I'm Melanie Keller.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending July 31st, 2021. The most homophobic document the world has ever seen. That's what LGBTQ people and their allies in Ghana are calling a draft of the Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill. It would punish anyone for simply being LGBTQ to 5 years in prison. Anyone who advocates for LGBTQ people could be sentenced to 10 years. It also bans online platforms and media companies from posting or running any messages in support of LGBTQ people. Same-gender sex is already against the law in Ghana, currently punishable with up to 3 years in prison. Just ahead of the filing of the bill, Speaker of Parliament Alban Babi declared the LGBT plus pandemic in the West African nation to be worse than COVID-19. Danny Bediako of the queer advocacy group Rightify Ghana called the proposal a homophobe's dream law. He told Reuters that people are even scared to go out now, and some members say they will leave the country if the bill is passed into law. Even those who want to help us will be afraid. Wendy Isaac of Human Rights Watch explained to the Washington Post it criminalizes everything, from being a person who engages in same-sex conduct to identifying as a transgender person to being an ally of LGBTQ individuals. People are absolutely terrified. Before the introduction of the draconian bill, there was the recent forced shuttering of a fledgling queer rights group. Escalating raids on queer venues have followed, netting multiple arrests on trumped-up charges. A timetable for debate and a vote on the bill has not been announced. Reportedly, it has major support in Parliament, especially among members of President Nana Akufo-Addo's ruling New Patriotic Party.
Bold defiance against Hungary's mushrooming homophobia was on the march in Budapest's annual LGBTQ Pride Parade. Crowd estimates exceeding 30,000 on July 24th far eclipsed previous attendance records. The throngs were reacting to the recent no promo homo law pushed through Parliament by Prime Minister Viktor Orban. It outlaws any supportive representation of LGBTQ people in schools or on television. Its inclusion in a measure against pedophilia gave lawmakers little choice in voting for it. Politico described the mostly youthful marchers as festive, despite the attempted repression. Signs mocking Orban and his Fidesz political party mixed with rainbow flags. More rainbows adorned balconies on buildings along the parade route. Several members of the European Parliament joined the march. Rabble-rousing remarks by an unidentified Pride participant were posted on the New York Times website.
I cannot tell you how long it is going to take until we have full equality in our societies, also here in Hungary. But I can tell you one thing. There will be a moment in your life. In this moment, you will look back to us standing here together on this square. And no matter how difficult the situation will be, no matter how grim the times will look, you are going to look back and you will remember that at least on this day, we stood here together and we fought. We fought for our rights, we fought for democracy, we fought for rule of law, we fought for our freedom, and we fought for dignity.
Prime Minister Orban has countered sanctions threatened by the EU with a public vote on the new law, although no date for the referendum has been announced. Orban is up for re-election in April.
In neighboring Poland, 4 activists are being sued for publishing an interactive map of more than 100 local governments in the country that have declared themselves to be LGBT Free Zones. The color-coded Atlas of Hate identifies 3 categories. Green areas have rejected LGBT Free Zone proposals. Amber areas designate anti-queer lobbying by far-right activists. Red areas are official LGBT Free Zones. Jakub Gafron, Kamil Matsuga, Paulina Pająk, and Paweł Praneta are the co-creators of the Atlas of Hate. They're being sued for slander by local politicians in 6 red LGBT Free Zones. The volunteers face aggregate fines topping the equivalent of $43,000. One news outlet says that's more than the combined day job salaries of all 4 of them. The activists are getting legal and financial support from a number of human rights groups, including Poland's Campaign Against Homophobia and the global advocacy group All Out.
A Christian web designer who refuses to create queer wedding websites saw her appeal thrown out this week. A 3-judge panel of the 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals voted 2-1. Lower courts have found that Lori Smith's refusal of service violated Colorado's laws that ban anti-LGBTQ discrimination. The issue has never actually come up in her business, but Smith cites her religious beliefs. She's represented by the far-right legal group Alliance Defending Freedom, which also defended the faith-based bigotry of Masterpiece Cake Shop owner Jack Phillips. The Alliance says it will appeal this week's decision against Smith.
The policies of the Virginia Department of Education for transgender student accommodations have survived a legal test. Lynchburg Circuit Court Judge J. Frederick Watson dismissed a challenge this week to the department's plans for the coming school year. It was filed by some parents represented by the Christian Action Network with the backing of other religious right groups. Under the policies, trans students are allowed to use the campus bathrooms and locker rooms consistent with their gender identity. They should also have their preferred gender pronouns and names respected. The plaintiffs claimed that the policies violate their First Amendment freedom of speech and religion rights. Equality Virginia and the ACLU of Virginia were among more than 50 advocacy groups that filed friend of the court briefs, encouraging its rejection of the case. The Education Department's trans student policies have no enforcement provisions, however, according to the Virginia pilot. So the start of the new school year looms while the fight continues with officials at the local school board level debating how to implement the policies, or if they will.
Once upon a time, the advocacy group Out Nebraska scheduled a drag queen story hour. The private after-hours event at the Lincoln Children's Museum was scheduled for July 24th with about 50 attendees expected. But the museum announced the cancellation of the event on Instagram on July 19th, explaining that over the past few days, the Lincoln Children's Museum and event host Out Nebraska have both received an overwhelming number of threats of violence against our organizations, many going so far as death threats. Both groups agreed to the cancellation after consulting with police officials. Officer Luke Bonkiewicz refused to provide details about the threats or how they were made, whether in social media posts, email messages, or phone calls. He did say that there was genuine concern for the safety and well-being of potential attendees and that the threats were being investigated. As of July 27th, the Lincoln Journal-Star reported that there had been no arrests.
The Florida-based Coral Ridge Ministries is an anti-LGBTQ hate group. Calling them one is not defamation. This week, the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a lower court's dismissal of a lawsuit filed by the megachurch, also known as D. James Kennedy Ministries. The plaintiffs demanded damages from the Southern Poverty Law Center for their hate group designation, which made them ineligible for charitable Amazon Smile donations. A unanimous 3-judge panel decided that the progressive watchdog group's action did not involve actual malice, and that Coral Ridge et al. Had failed to make a convincing argument to support their case. A Southern Poverty Law Center press release said that the fact that Coral Ridge claims its statements about the LGBT community are biblically based doesn't immunize it from criticism. We have a First Amendment right to express our opinions, just as Coral Ridge has a right to express its opinions.
Finally,
oh, come along with me to my little corner of the world.
should Sarah Green invite Grandma to her wedding? Grandma is former beauty queen and pop singer Anita Bryant. In the late 1970s, Bryant led a campaign in Florida to allegedly save our children from being recruited into the homosexual lifestyle. Her holy crusade went national, essentially launching the religious rights attack on LGBTQ rights in the United States that continues to this day. So, what should Anita Bryant's granddaughter do about her upcoming wedding? She told an episode of the Slate podcast, One Year, that she probably will eventually just call her and ask if she even wants an invitation, because I don't know if she would be offended if I didn't invite her. She said that Bryant once told her to have faith that the right man would come along. That's not how it turned out. Sarah Green's fiancé is a woman.
So welcome to my little corner of the world.
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude, for the week ending July 31st, 2021. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer, and brought to you by you.
Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast and much more.
And you can read the transcript and listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out radio channel on YouTube. For This Way Out, I'm Melanie Keller. Stay healthy.
And I'm Michael Taylor Gray. Stay safe. This Way Out delivers LGBTQ news and culture to more than 150 local communities on radio stations around the world. And we are also a free online news service.
You can choose your favorite way to listen, online or on the air, at thiswayout.org.
Please sign up for our free e-newsletter, Inside This Way Out.
We'll respect your trust in us and make sure your personal information is never shared with others.
Just send us an email at info@thiswayout.org to receive the informative and unique addition to the show.
You'll be invited to join us for a more in-depth look into our stories and be encouraged to learn more about This Way Out's 3 decades of broadcast activism.
We hope you choose to join us in celebration of LGBTQ history and culture.
Email us at info@thiswayout.org to join the movement.
We'll make sure you always know what's going on inside This Way Out.